I am a killer. I don't say that to be dramatic. I say it because it is the truth. For 7 years, I have hidden this truth behind a quiet smile and a peaceful life. But every night, when the lights go out, I still hear the sound of the tires screaming. I am a killer. I don't say that to be dramatic. I say it because it is the truth. For 7 years, I have hidden this truth behind a quiet smile and a peaceful life. But every night, when the lights go out, I still hear the sound of the tires screaming. I still feel the sickening thud against the bumper of my car. My name is John. I am 71 years old. Most people my age worry about their health or their retirement. I worry about a yellow dog. I worry about the 3 lives I almost extinguished before they even began. Today marks exactly 7 years. The weight has become too heavy to carry alone, so I have come back to this road one last time to tell you what I come here quite often. It's a lonely stretch of asphalt, far away from the noise of the city, where the wind is the only thing that speaks. I come here because this road owns a piece of me, a piece I can never get back. 7 years, that is a very long time. In 7 years, seasons change, children grow up, the world moves on. But for me, time has been standing still. Every time my tires hit this specific patch of road, the clock resets. I feel my heart start to behave strangely. It's a flutter, a coldness in my chest, a feeling that I am no longer 71. I am back to being that man who was in too much of a hurry. I slowly pull my car over to the side. I like to listen to the gravel crunch under the wheels. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It sounds like breaking bone. I sit there quietly for a few minutes. I don't turn off the engine. The vibration of the car keeps me grounded because if I let go, the memory will swallow me whole. Sometimes I get out of the car. The air here always feels thinner, colder. I look at the road. I look around at the tall, dry grass, and it all rushes back, as if it happened yesterday, as if the blood hasn't dried yet. That day, it started as just another ordinary Saturday, the kind of day where you feel like nothing can go wrong. The air was cool, not freezing, just crisp. The kind of air that makes you want to wrap your hands around a warm cup of coffee. Gray clouds covered the sky. They were thick and heavy, like a curtain waiting to drop. The wind was blowing very gently, just enough to make the trees whisper. I remember thinking how peaceful it was. I was driving home. My house is outside the city. It's where I went to find silence. But that day, the silence became my enemy. The road was almost empty. Just me and the horizon. A few cars passed me in the opposite direction, small flashes of color in a gray world. Everything was quiet. Moments like that make a person start thinking, and I was lost in my thoughts. I was thinking about my life. I was 64 back then, still feeling strong, still feeling like I had all the time in the world. I was thinking about the past, thinking about the years that had slipped through my fingers like sand. I thought about the mistakes I'd made, the people I'd hurt, the words I'd left unsaid. But I also thought about the good things. My wife's smile, the smell of the garden in the morning. I was comfortable. I was safe. And because I was safe, I was careless. I was driving a little faster than usual, around 80 kilometers per hour. The road was straight. There were no turns, no hidden driveways. There was no danger, or so I told myself. But sometimes life can change everything in a single moment. 1 second, you are an innocent man. The next second, you are something else entirely. The movement was a blur. Out of the corner of my eye, a flash of gold. Suddenly, a yellow dog ran onto the road. She didn't look. She didn't hesitate. She ran out very quickly. The moment I saw her, my stomach turned to ice. My brain screamed, "Stop!" I slammed on the brakes. I pushed the pedal so hard I felt the metal bend. The tires screeched, a high, piercing sound against the asphalt, a sound of desperation. But the distance was too short. The physics of the world didn't care about my regret. And then the impact, a dull sound, a heavy sound, a sound that I can still feel in my hands when I hold the steering wheel. The car came to a stop. The smell of burnt rubber filled the air. Everything was silent again, except for the ticking of the engine. I stopped the car immediately. My heart was beating so fast I could hear it in my teeth. I opened the door. My legs felt like they were made of water. I ran outside. I looked toward the side of the road. My eyes searched the grass. My soul prayed that I had missed, but I hadn't. The yellow dog was lying there. She was not a big dog, just a simple street dog. Her fur was dusty. Her paws were worn, but she was still alive. She was barely breathing. Her chest moved in small, shallow jerks. I knelt down beside her in the dirt. I didn't care about my clothes. I didn't care who saw me. I carefully lifted her into my arms. She was so light, so fragile. I thought maybe I could still save her. Maybe I could find a vet. Maybe I could take her to a clinic and fix what I had broken. I looked at her eyes. They were wide and dark. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at something I couldn't see. I whispered to her, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." But after a few seconds, she stopped moving. The grass was high. It brushed against my legs like ghostly fingers. After walking a few meters, I saw it, an abandoned building. It was an old shack. The wood was rotting. The roof was sagging under the weight of years. Near the entrance of that building, I suddenly heard a sound. It was a small sound, a high-pitched whimpering. I walked closer. My heart felt like it was going to burst through my ribs. And what I saw, it broke my heart in a way I cannot describe. There were 3 tiny puppies. They were so small they could have fit in my pocket. Very small. They were lying close together, huddled in a ball for warmth. Their eyes were not fully open yet. They were just beginning to see the world. They were lying quietly, waiting. I let out a cry, a sound of pure agony. They looked as if they were waiting for their mother. They were waiting for her to come back with food. They were waiting for her to curl around them and keep them safe. But she was never coming back. She was lying by the side of the road, cold, under a bush. At that moment, my chest tightened. I realized the full weight of my sin. I had not only hit a dog, I had taken away a mother. I had doomed 3 little lives to starve in the dark. Tears started falling from my eyes. I couldn't hold them back anymore. They ran down my face and dripped onto the floor of the shack. I stood there for several minutes. I felt like I was drowning. Then I noticed a house nearby, a small farmhouse about a half-mile away. I knew I couldn't do this alone. I walked there. I knocked on the door. My hands were shaking. A man came outside. He was an older man, too. He had a kind face. He asked me what had happened. I couldn't lie to him. I told him everything. I told him I was speeding. I told him about the yellow dog. I told him about the puppies. He listened quietly. He didn't judge me. He didn't yell. He just looked at the horizon for a long time. Then he brought a shovel, and he decided to help me. Together, we walked back to the road. The sun was slowly setting now. The sky had turned a deep, bruised orange. The air was getting colder. The wind was picking up. We found a spot near a large oak tree. We dug a hole. It was hard work. The ground was dry, but we dug it deep. We carefully placed the yellow dog into the ground. I laid her on her side. I made sure she looked comfortable. And we buried her. The sound of the dirt hitting her body, that is a sound I will never forget. It was final. After that, I went back to the puppies. They were making small crying sounds now. They were hungry. They were lonely. My heart could not leave them there. I couldn't walk away and let the dark take them. So I gently picked up all three of them. I used my jacket to make a nest. I placed them in my car, on the passenger seat, right where I could see them, and I took them home. I do not even remember how I drove home. The world was a blur of headlights and tears. From that day on, my life was no longer my own. I started taking care of them. I didn't know anything about puppies. I had to learn. At first, they were so small, I had to feed them with a bottle every 2 or 3 hours. I didn't sleep much that first month. Even during the night, I had to wake up. I would sit in my kitchen at 3 a.m. The house was silent, just me and 3 tiny souls. I would hold them. I would watch them drink, and I would think about their mother. I told them I was sorry every night. I hoped that maybe, somehow, they could feel my regret. As time passed, they slowly grew up. First, they learned to walk. They would tumble over their own paws. Then, they started running. They turned my quiet house into a place of chaos. They chewed my shoes. They barked at the mailman. They brought life back into a home that had been empty for too long. And eventually, they became the guardians of my home. They weren't just dogs to me. They were my family. They were my redemption. Today, it has been exactly 7 years since that day. 7 years since I became a killer. 7 years since I became a father. Those 3 little puppies have now grown into big dogs. They have gray on their muzzles now, just like me. They live with me. They sleep at the foot of my bed. Every day they wait for me by the door. They know the sound of my car from a mile away. I take good care of them. I give them the best life I can. Sometimes I bring them to this place, this road. I let them out of the car. I let them run through the grass. They don't know what happened here. They don't know that their mother is resting under that oak tree. They just see a field. They see a day of fun. But I stand by the tree and I wait, and deep inside my heart, there is one small hope. Maybe that yellow dog has seen what I did. Maybe she has seen how I loved her children. Maybe she has forgiven me. Life is a strange thing. It is beautiful, and it is cruel. It teaches us very hard lessons, lessons that we never asked for. I learned that some mistakes happen in just seconds. A moment of haste, a moment of not paying attention, but their weight can stay in your heart for years. It can change the way you see the world. It can change the way you see yourself. I am 71 years old. I don't have many years left. And I have been living with that memory for 7 years. It is the first thing I think of when I wake up. It is the last thing I think of before I sleep. I look at my dogs. I see their wagging tails. I feel their wet noses against my hand, and I realize something. We cannot change the past. We cannot undo the things we have done. We cannot bring back the dead, but we can choose what we do next. We can choose to take the pieces of our mistakes and build something new. We can choose to turn our guilt into love. I killed a dog 7 years ago. I can never fix that, but I saved 3 lives. And in return, those 3 lives saved me. They gave me a purpose. They gave me a family. They taught me what it means to truly be responsible for another living soul. So, if you are listening to this, if you are carrying a weight in your heart, if you have made a mistake that haunts you, just remember, it is never too late to do the right thing. It is never too late to try and balance the scales. I'm going to go home now. I'm going to feed my dogs, and I'm going to tell them I love them, because life is short and every second matters. I hope you found some peace in my story. Watch the road, drive slowly, and always, always look out for the things that can't look out for themselves. Thank you for listening.